Hey everyone, John Newman here. Thank you for downloading this episode of Card Mensches. Myself and Danny Black of Hobby News Daily would like to remind you this is a live show every other Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It can be found on most of our social medias. Danny's at Sportsball and Hobby News Daily. I am Sports Card Nation Podcast. And it can be found on our YouTube channels. At Hobby News Daily, Sports Card Nation Podcast, at Sportsball, and at Card Mensches. So with that being said, we hope to see you very soon on a Friday night in our very active chat room. Now let's start the show.
Experience, quality, consistency, and the quickest turnaround times in the grading industry? We are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com. Experience.
Hi, I'm Danny Black.
And I'm John Newman.
Welcome to Card Mensches.
What is up? Episode 31 of Card Mensches. It's the alternate Friday of the month. You didn't see us last Friday, so we showed up this Friday. We'll do this.
B.A.
Mensch. And hopefully we will tonight. We're going to talk about sentimental cards tonight, guys. Cards that forget dollar signs, although some of these probably will have a few dollar signs attached to them, but throw that out. Cards that have some sort of sentimental meaning and value to us. We're going to share some of those tonight. I want to start off on a sad, sentimental note. Carl Weathers died today from Rocky fame and other stuff as well. And he recently appeared in that commercial with Rob Gronkowski for the $1 million kick as well. So sad news on the Hollywood front. But a lot of people don't realize this. Carl Weathers played for the Oakland Raiders for a couple years back in the 70s.
I love hearing that music.
I don't know. Was that you?
No. John got a new phone today, guys, and we're going to make this part of the show.
the other day.
We're going to take a time out as John learns to use it on tonight's episode.
I just put it on silent, but I don't know.
Dylan? What's up,
Apparently
Warren?
my phone is haunted.
All right. I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I thought that was you, and then you said it wasn't, and this will be out of whack. So
we're talking about cards that make us emotional.
Yeah, there might be some crying. I'm going to try to hold back the tears, but I can't promise you anything. But no, I'm not going to cry tonight. At least I'm going to try not to.
Yeah. Well, Ruben, I appreciate the congratulations. I think I own the ticket I pay for when I go to the game. I think that's my portion of the team.
So what? I mean, I don't know if you want to get right into it. Do you want to add anything? It's pretty.
I think it's important that we remember why we get cards. Why do we buy cards? Why do we collect cards? Why do we share Friday nights every other week? It's because we're attached to them somehow. So
Warren knows. Warren says, "Have another crown, John." Yeah, good call.
John's emotionally attached there. So I thought it would be fun for us to pull out some cards and show some stuff that for whatever reason we find funny or sentimental, or we remember when we got it, or whatever reason we like the card other than finances, even if it's an expensive card. So that was the theory.
Yeah, I like it. I think people like seeing cards or hearing the stories behind them, and I think it'll be enjoyable. This is definitely a visual.
Dylan, I gotta go home. He said no Cal Ripken.
Yeah, I got a feeling. I don't know. We didn't share any. We really didn't share our cards. So I mean, we could probably guess some of our cards, but we didn't like beforehand share any. So you got the Coke and I got the Crown. Like we need to put them together.
Right. Cheers. That's fantastic. Well, why don't you go first? Because I know that you picked a couple, and so I think you have 175 there or something.
Yeah, how long does everyone have tonight? There's no work tomorrow, so we'll be up till 3 a.m. doing this. All right. And I actually put these in sort of an order. So there's some method to my madness. This first card, without this card, I wouldn't probably be in the hobby for 40 years. So let me just preface that. It's me on a PSA card. No, I'm just kidding. That's not it. That's not it. That's a joke, obviously. All right. This is the card for me that anyone that's followed me in social media wise knows. 1979 Topps Reggie Jackson. Now, unfortunately, this is not the card, but it is the card that it was the third or fourth card in the first pack I ever opened. 1979 Topps in the corner store. The box was on the front counter where you check out. And I saw my grandfather bought me a couple packs. Brooklyn, New York, 1979. This was the third, and I'm not a Reggie Jackson fan, but at the time I was a young Yankees fan. I was a Thurman Munson guy. He had already passed away, but Reggie Jackson was the toast of New York, Mr. October. And so as a little kid, this was the guy, right? The man, the myth, the legend. Even though I was a Thurman Munson guy, and so pulling this card was what got me hooked. And here we are in 2023, and I'm still doing this. So I obviously went and bought. This is not the exact card, but I went and got this, and it's over there on the wall to remind me of where it all started. Right? Yeah. We all have an origin story. How did this all happen? And again, this is probably a $20 card, maybe less. But this is what created the monster known as me.
Nice subtle drop on the PSA card of you at the beginning, by the way.
I was going to crack a joke sometime tonight. I just get the bad joke out of the way early and then be done with it.
Well, I'm picking one, and before everybody freaks out, this is the black scribble version, so I can show it on camera, and we're still family friendly. The Bill Ripken card, Bill Ripken era card. Growing up in Baltimore, I'm sorry, if you're a boy of a certain age and it says that on the bottom of the bat, this card has your heart forever. Yeah, I know I'm chalk on this, guys. I'm that predictable. I just genuinely love it. Love what you collect. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on a card that everybody knows so well. But for me, I will always own versions of this card. Always have, always will. So for Bill Ripken and his F-Face error card, that's definitely one that's sentimental and emotional for me because it makes me laugh and it makes me sentimental. You're muted.
One comment. Yeah, I get that. I get that card, Danny. For what were you, like 12, 13 when that card came out? I was 17, so maybe even younger, but Baltimore. One comment from Mookie who says Munson was no fan of Reggie. I don't think. You are exactly right, Mookie. Munson and Reggie did not get along, mostly from what I remember, due to Munson always felt like Reggie was an eye guy rather than a team guy, and then the contract hold out, and so Munson being team captain was not a huge fan of Reggie. But as a New York City kid, even being a Munson fan, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, right? That getting that card is what was the catalyst for me kind of staying in the hobby and wanting more cards and that sort of thing. And at that point, I didn't have any Thurman Munson cards. He had passed away. And so Reggie was the guy, being a young Yankees kid. So let's get this next one. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. I think everyone knows where I'm going with the second one. You're wearing him on your shirt. I'm wearing just the city I'm from, but where he played, right? My Grail card, the Jackie rookie. And, even as a kid, obviously Jackie died a month before I was born. My dad got to see him play and met him, being a young man going to Ebbets Field all the time. I got all the stories, and then I started to learn about the man he was, and then not just the player, but the man off the field as well. And I became, a Jackie kid. And then as I got more into the hobby and older, that's when I started, obtaining a few of his cards. And never, until a couple years ago, I'd never had this card. And this is the Grail. And so I had to, anytime we do something like this, it's probably going to be included. I'll apologize in advance, but it just means that much to me. So we're talking about sentimental, and so there you go.
Yeah, it's just like chalk with me on the Ripkins, guys. We're being honest. We could make up other stories, but this is really what we like. I want to bring up a card that I want to pull.
It's called not being prepared when you have to, like, mine already.
Right.
You can never work at Amazon. You took too long to fulfill that order.
John, you know how long I wanted this card, and I searched for it. So
we know a story that was sad for you one year, and then happy. It had a happy ending. But,
yeah, we're not going to talk about you buying the other one out from under me. But I think this one's got fantastic eye appeal. I'm thrilled with it. I love the card, love the player, part of the player run. It means a lot to me on a lot of different levels that I'll not get onto, but some of them are close to my heart. A lot of grandparents have quoted Sandy Koufax to me growing up. Like his word was just as good as any rabbi's word. If it was good enough for Sandy, it was good enough for my grandparents. So he's known to be a Mensches. The man's still around at his age, and still could probably pitch an inning out of the bullpen. Well, certainly for the Mets anyway. Maybe not the Dodgers anymore.
Yeah, we need pitchers. I think they're going to be calling him soon unless something else falls into place. So.
Yep, absolutely right, Mookie. Yeah, Warren.
Yeah, it's not in the rotation, but if you want to see it, if you look where my finger is, that's the stolen Koufax right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what the hobby's all about, feeling it when you see the cards. Darn right.
Yeah.
All right, your turn, sir.
All right, we're going off baseball. This is not a baseball card. And so a lot of people know I'm a Steelers guy, even growing up in New York City.
Ooh, this show's going to end early tonight.
5 years old, I became a Steelers fan. I just did not like the Giants or the Jets. And it was this commercial, it was that Coke commercial. And this guy who starred in it with a kid who was my age at the time, even had a resemblance to me. The kid gives this guy the Coke. He throws his jersey to the kid, and thanks, Mean Joe. And so it's my Mean Joe green rookie card right there. And again, this is not necessarily about values, probably a couple $100 if that, but it's Mean Joe was my guy, still is to this day, and the Steelers wouldn't have had that dynasty run of 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, frankly, without that guy. And, he'll always be my favorite Pittsburgh Steeler to the end. And it don't matter who they get or, what happens. There you go. Good segue. That's what's, you notice your trend, right? What started it all in different things. That was what started my Steeler fandom. The Reggie started me in the hobby. And I think we need to remember sort of how we got here. I'm a history guy. And so for me, that's a part of my fabric and my history. So it's a card I definitely love.
Do you want to see if you can pull out 5 quickly?
I mean, Joe, Ben Roethlisberger is going to be in there, probably number 5. I got to go Rocky Blyer. So there's 3. And, I don't go back really before that because, I just go from when I started being a fan. So I know it's cliche, but I'll go with Swan and Stallworth as well. Jerome Bettis, maybe I knock Roethlisberger out and I know he wasn't drafted by the Steelers, but he was just a lovable, great player. So I'll kick Roethlisberger out. I'll go Bettis, Blyer, Stalwart Swan, and Mean Joe.
I didn't hear anything you said after Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hines Ward is in there too. So
you couldn't find room for Antoine. What is it? Randall L.
Antoine Randall L.
Yeah,
I like Antoine Randall. He's not going to
Cordell
make the
Stewart.
I like Cordell too, but he's not going to make the top 5.
All right. Mookie says Ravens fans focusing on Orioles ownership this week, and Corbin freaking Burns. You know what? Corbin Burns rookie card makes me emotional. I'd like to make that my next one. A Corbin.
I was hoping that we talked before the show. I didn't even hear about that news today, and I was hoping the Mets still had a chance to get him. So much for that theory.
Now we gave up a shortstop prospect who was a top 100 guy, DL Hall, who's a lefty, either a reliever, back end, or starter, and the number 34 pick in the draft for 1 year. So wasn't cheap.
Dr. Mayer said no Trubisky. No, and there'll be no Trubisky in Pittsburgh next year as
well. That's funny. Troy Polamalu.
Oh yeah, how can I forget Troy?
Franco Harris.
I love Franco. I have nothing against Franco Harris. I just wasn't he just didn't make my life. Maybe I put Franco ahead of Lynn Swan. It's funny now. I'm starting to rearrange my list. Polamalu is right there. It would have probably been easier to do a top 10 off the cuff rather than a top 5 because you're trying. Then you realize I missed him. He should be up ahead, and so top 10 I could have rattled off a lot easier with less thinking and less whoops I missed him type of deal.
Yeah, I'm just queuing up my Orioles Magic theme song over here. So. Tell me when you're done.
Whose turn is it? Is it you or me?
I think it's me.
Yeah, it's you.
Did I make that up? I wanted to throw up Chuck Klein. This is a randomly sentimental card for me. My stepfather has played a huge role in my life, and his name happens to be Charles Klein. And I picked this up at the National randomly. I've known about this card forever. It's been a running joke in our family. He tells us that he's related to Chuck Klein, and there's no relation at all. And it's just one of these cards I hold on to, and it makes me think of my stepfather and love him to death, and I love the card to death. And it's like, for me, it's weird to say this. It's almost like having a family picture because we're not a good-looking family, so I'd rather look at a 33 guy. So, all
right.
I find it, something that reminds me of him, and he's still alive. That sounded like he was gone. He's still with us, but I like having the card, and I'm going to hold on to that one forever.
Yeah, that's what it's about, right? That's what the title of the show is: cards that we're sentimental about, and you told the story right there to why. So no one can argue, right? We can argue, top 10 best second baseman. We can and debate that, but no one can debate your personal best sentimental cards because that's your list, right?
And I'm sorry, I think 34 Gaudy. I think the 34 Gaudy are cool cards. So
but you get a free Lou Gehrig on the card as well.
Well, Lou says
that you get a picture of me for free.
Right.
That's what he says.
All right. What you got?
All right. Again, where it kind of, started for me, growing up in New York. I'm a big music guy. A lot of people know that about me. You know that. And this guy, fellow New Yorker, was my first guy that really got me into music and to where even being a music fan now, I go to a lot of concerts each year, at least 5 or 6. But this will always be my favorite guy. I recently got this, as you well know, just a couple years ago. And this is my second one. I have another one I upgraded. I had a 5, and this is an 8. But this is my guy. It's a good timing. He just came out with a new song yesterday called "Turn the Lights Back On." But I'm a super fan of this gentleman right here. No, that is not Sylvester Stallone, as the picture looks like. It is Billy Joel, and this is his 1980 Panini Smash Hits. His first real mass-produced. It's a sticker, and this is a PSA 8. I do have a PSA 5 that is now in my show inventory. This one stays home, and anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge Billy Joel guy. Always will be. That will be, and so I had to add that sticker. I know I sometimes say card, but it's actually a sticker to my personal collection. And so again, following the theme of get people or players that got it started for me. That was my music. That's the Jackie Robinson for music for me, if you will, or Reggie, I guess you could say.
You're welcome, Warren. Dude, I love that sticker, card, whatever you want to call it. We share our love for Billy Joel, and it's one of those weird coincidences that's come along. So I love the new song. Glad you pulled that card out. Glad you went non-baseball. I feel like I shorted myself now.
Well, listen, listen. Variety is the spice of life. Somebody said that. I don't know who. So
You did have Chinese food tonight, didn't you?
I did have Chinese food.
Was that your fortune cookie?
No, you know what my fortune cookie said? Here's how ironic. I do remember what my fortune cookie said. It said, which is weird because of the show we're doing. It said, happiness is non-attachment.
Ooh.
So
send me your cards.
That's a weird. That's a weird one. That's a weird one. I didn't really. I'm sure there's some sort of meaning there. I didn't really like it, but it is what it is.
I think you're supposed to send me all your cards.
Is it sacrilegious if you don't like the fortune? You just open another cookie till you get one you like?
No, I trade it with my kids all the time.
It's like opening packs till you get a hit.
That's called breaking.
Yeah, well, you open a fortune cookie till you get to the fortune you actually like.
All right, I'm moving on to my next one. This is a quick one. This was my first real non-Baltimore related hero. Just somebody who I just thought the world of. I saw him make one of his greatest plays in person when the Royals were in Baltimore, and this card just kind of spoke to me forever. The 90s score, Bo Jackson. I just love this card. The back of it, I should have shown the picture with the B and the O and the Royals and Raiders colors. He will not sign this card, actually, if the autograph versions are pretty rare. He was so amazing. If you didn't live through Bo Jackson, it's hard to even put him into words to people. And he, like I said, he was the first person that I didn't have any connection with. He didn't play locally. He wasn't from Baltimore. There was no reason other than, he was just so gifted. And I just fell in love with his talents and him as a player. So that card, and it just spoke to a certain time in my life. And, that's why it was on my list.
Yeah, that's an iconic card, no doubt. I think Ruben said, rumor has it John was the fourth Beastie Boy. That is a true story, or at least I like to portray it as a true story.
Contract fight.
Yeah, that they needed a DJ and I couldn't do it, so I was out. And I could rap and beatbox, but they wanted someone to spin the records, and not my forte. So the pink slip I got, but no, that's a great card. And Dr. Mayer's asking why won't he sign it? What's the story? Do you know?
It was a contract dispute. And he didn't feel. My understanding is he didn't feel he was compensated correctly for the card. So he the poster, the picture of the card. I forget if he signs any of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, they'll go out there and try to buy one.
And I think like when he goes to the National, they usually even have that in parentheses that he doesn't sign that. Huh. That's how popular it is. Yeah. Ruben, after making John one of the Beastie Boys, says he was kicked out because he slept before in Brooklyn.
I like that.
Beastie Boy fan,
that sounds like a T-shirt I should have made.
Right. Warren, I agree with you. Bo Jackson's one of the greatest athletes in my opinion. In fact, I'm going to start, I think, piecing multi-sport athletes. I want to go after Jim Thorpe, Babe Diedrichson, Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, guys that dominated in multiple sports, not just played. I don't want to collect Danny Ainge. But
Danny Ainge.
Yeah, I don't need to collect him.
Chuck Connors.
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, well, he played for the Celtics and the Brooklyn Dodgers.
The Hunter.
Oh, Fred.
Where?
Yeah, Fred. Yeah, there's a lot of like actors that obviously.
Well, he played for the LA Rams. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All
right. So this one, I said I was a Yankee fan, and then about 1982, 83, I became a Mets fan, switched over. But this guy is a Yankee. This card's 84. This guy, even though I wasn't a Yankee fan anymore, this gentleman was one of my favorite players in baseball, even not being a Yankee fan any longer. Many people probably guessing who this is. And this particular card, it's his rookie, but this particular brand, I love this design of this year. And I opened and spent a lot of money on 1984 Donruss packs trying to pull one of my favorite rookie cards of all time, which is the 84 Donruss Don Mattingly. I love the 84 Donruss design, one of my all-time favorite designs. Yep. And it's Don Mattingly. Everyone knows I've got, not only a thing for acetate cards, but close-up facial rookie cards I find even more iconic than in-action ones. And this one checks all the boxes for me. And I can't tell you, I made Donruss a lot of money in 1984. So, I just remember anytime I remember two feelings, right? Every time I opened an 84 Donruss pack and it wasn't in there, I remember that feeling. And I also remember that euphoric feeling when I saw, and I would, you slowly slide the cards to the left or right, in my case, to the right, and you see the ear and the face.
Yep.
And it's a man. There was another guy, he was a pitcher for the Cubs that had sort of the same shot, and sometimes I get fooled, and it was like him instead of Mattingly, and then it would go from euphoria to like, oh man, and but this was one of the early chase cards for me when I had a little bit more money, even as a 12-year-old, doing some chores and side work to make some money.
And back then, everybody thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and he probably should be.
Might be one day.
I mean, if we're going to let guys like Joe Mauer in.
Well, Mattingly, I think
and Harold Baines.
Yeah, I know. I heard it's funny he played for the Orioles. All right.
Known for his Orioles career, though. He's known,
No, it was for his White Sox career.
Yeah.
Yes. Although he's from Maryland, so I do have a soft spot for.
Oh, so they even worked out better than I thought it was originally going to. The chicken
Mo Berg. I don't know if you guys
are showing. You actually have the card. Why are you showing like pictures on the screen?
So I don't get all the weird glare and awkwardness.
I got you.
Whatever. Tomato. Morris Moberg. The guy was a spy. The guy combines my love of history, my love of baseball, my love of cards, everything about it. It's a hard card to find in good condition. It's an expensive card because he was a backup catcher and nobody kept his cards. It's just everything about it resonates with me. I think it's a good looking card. If you can find one in higher condition, the color really does pop. But I just, to me, it can make me speechless. The whole story, if you're not familiar with it, I'll save you the whole thing. Yeah, I do need this on a t-shirt. Thanks for But I just,
what you need on a t-shirt is the back of this card.
The chicken back.
Make the shirt like the front of your shirt is the front of the card and the back is the chicken back. You got to do.
Well, I got to label it rare chicken back edition.
Yeah.
What's up, Logan?
Hey, Logan.
So that's why I put the Moberg on the list. I guess it's two Gaudis. I didn't do that on purpose, but I do like the look, and they do resonate with me. But maybe it was chalk, but I had to put the Moberg in there.
Yeah, you do Moberg. That's your Jackie in a way. I mean,
It is.
That's your
I mean, there's a book, there's a movie. This whole story, is why we love these guys, and he's become more famous, recently than he ever has been, and I think that's cool. So.
Yeah, his legend is actually bigger than the player itself. It doesn't always happen. All right, this next one for me, again, we're going into another sport, right? I'm going to go up the grid off of baseball, and it's not football this time, but hoops. And growing up in Brooklyn, I love where I love to represent. I love where I come from. I'm very proud of that, as all should be of wherever you're from. Yep. And this dude, I knew about him before he ever made it to the NBA. Played at St. John's, gym rat, became an NBA, became a basketball Hall of Famer. But I knew about him before all that. And thanks to you and an event, I eventually got to meet him, 3 years ago, which is one of the great hobby life moments for me. And when I meet him, I talked to him, 7, 8, 10 minutes. Didn't talk any basketball. All we did was talk about Canarsie, Brooklyn. We're both from the same section in Brooklyn. So we talked about stores and places where we worked and that sort of thing. And it's Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin's my basket. Chris Mullin, I know Michael Jordan's the best player to do it, but Chris Mullin's my Michael Jordan as a kid in Brooklyn. And so meeting him, a couple years ago, just one of my big thrills. No, I didn't get speechless, but man, it was a great night, and love me some Mully, and he'll always be that guy for me. I actually have a lot of Mullen stuff, but this is the rookie card, so I figured I'd. And what's nice about this is really his real rookie card. Like, I know, because they didn't do basketball sets, but this is actually, even had they been making basketball sets, this is his actual rookie card. So
Ruben says the story would have been better if John dated Chris's sister or something. John might not be here to tell the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he has siblings, but I don't know if he, male, female, or who they are. But Chris Mullin was my idol, in the basketball realm growing up.
And luckily, him and I go way back, so we're able to take care of that for you. All right. I'm running out of cards here. I know you have one. This one is so chalk, I have nothing to say. It's embarrassing. So do you want to show one more before I go chalk?
Yeah, I have 2 more left.
So yeah, why don't you show one more now?
All right. So I'm now in Syracuse, New York. So I had to pay homage tonight to, someone tied to Syracuse, and one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite football year sets design wise, and unfortunately, a sad story. He was the number 1 pick in 1961 out of Syracuse University. He is the first Black, or I should say African-American Heisman Trophy winner, although we can argue Jim Brown probably should have won it prior, but didn't. So this gentleman became the first African-American Heisman Trophy winner. He got drafted number 1 by the Cleveland Browns. They already had Jim Brown, and they still drafted this gentleman. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with leukemia and succumbed to that horrible disease, and never played a regular season game in the NFL. But it's Ernie Davis, and it's the 62 Topps rookie horizontal card. Love this design. You got the in-action shot, then you got the name box, and then you got the bigger photo right there. And this is a card anytime. This is my best one. I do have a couple raw ones, but anytime I can see this card and it's fairly affordable, even though I have it already, I just add to it. If you don't know about Ernie Davis, look into him. The movie The Express was about his life with Dennis Quaid, and just a tragic story, but a great gentleman. The field, the dome where the Syracuse Orange played their football game, is named. The field itself, it's the JMA Wireless Dome, but the field inside there itself is called Ernie Davis Legends Field. And Jim Brown, when the day they dedicated the field, Jim Brown was there to christen it and talk about him. And someone asked him, it's not Jim Brown's field. It's Ernie. How do you feel about that? And he goes, I support it 100%. Ernie Davis, is a great human being, and that's why I'm here today. So Ernie Davis here in this town, but even more so, people who know the story about him will get that. So I wanted to pay a little homage to where I am now with the Ernie Davis card. The
Very
Panda
cool.
Express is good too.
Only because we were just talking about it yesterday. I didn't mean to step on your story. I love Panda Express. If I told my kids that we were leaving for Panda Express right now, they would get in the car.
Yeah, no doubt.
They would wake up from a cold sleep. Now, first of all, the Ernie Davis story is incredible. If you don't know, Jim Brown helped recruit Ernie Davis to Syracuse.
Yep.
And so there was never really a rivalry, talk about both of them in Cleveland. And I think that's part of the reason he was so gracious.
Can you imagine, had Ernie Davis not got ill, imagine that backfield, Ernie Davis and Jim Brown in the same backfield.
It was unheard of. And that's the thing. Am I correct? Ernie Davis never actually played, right? He was diagnosed right after he was drafted.
I think he played. If my memory serves me right, he suited up briefly for one preseason game. I'm not even sure he actually got any carries, but I think he was in uniform. But he definitely never played. He passed away before the season even started. And so the sad story of what could have been, and still a legend for never playing on the professional legend, still on the professional level, still a legend, and that's not always very common that happens. So
staying on the important stuff, Panda Express rocks. If you're really going, I'll find a flight to Baltimore tonight. You know what? Everybody flying in tonight, I'll go to Panda Express.
What time are they open till?
I'll find one. Don't worry. That's a fair. There's probably one in the airport.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's hilarious. All right. So let me show my last one. Everybody can laugh at the chalk. Ha ha. Danny likes Cal Ripken. Well, you know what? What else would I pick for the card that speaks? This is it. It's not the 82 tops traded. It's not the minor league orange. It's nothing fancy. It is this $40 tops common, brilliant, beautiful card that happens to be an error on the back. Jeff Schneider's birthday is wrong. Poor Jeff Schneider. It's an uncorrected error. And it has Cal Ripken as the third baseman, and Bob, it is pronounced Bonner, as the shortstop. And this was the rookie card of rookie cards in Baltimore. I mean, every kid in Baltimore had one of this card, if not 10 of this card. To this day, I get calls, people trying to sell this card, and it's a card I'll never forget. Never will leave my mind. I know front and back, and got one on the wall always, and I love that card.
And he's now the owner of the team, so, or at least partly.
He is the minority owner. Yep.
Yeah. All right, I got one more, and I'm going again off the grid here. This is not a card per se. I like to lead up to it like Robert Stack in Unsolved Mysteries here, but this is from my store year. So I owned a store from 1992 to 97. I had a partner named Angelo. We were direct with all the card companies at the time. So we would buy cases for the store, and we'd each usually get a box ourselves to open, and then the rest of the case was for the shop, and whether to sell sealed wax or open for packs. So in my box of this product, I opened my box, and I just happened to look at the top of the pack and seen the best player in the product on the top of the pack. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to open this pack. And so this pack is actually 30 years old this year. It's from 1992, 1993 Stadium Club basketball. And I wound up getting it graded by PSA. And so this is a 1992-93 Stadium Club basketball pack with Shaquille O'Neal's rookie on the top. The flip does denote Shaquille O'Neal on top on the flip. And what this means to me is just it brings me back to my store days. And 6 years that I loved owning a store. Have now owned a store. I do shows and do that sort of thing. But that was the last time I owned a store. I left in, I believe, late 1996. And so, and we talked about this when we were kind of coming up with the concept or the topic for the show. Something that means more to you is, right, something you pull yourself, and then whether you grade it, you grade yourself, and then you have it for the whole time, right? And so this particular item, it's not a card. There's cards inside the pack. But this item is like from start to finish has been with me, and it brings me back to my store days. And it sits on my desk in front of me, and it's just a constant reminder of that era, right? That was like my wheelhouse of having my store, traveling, doing shows. I was a little bit older in the hobby. In 93, I was 21. So I was a young guy in the hobby trying to make it. I was full-time at that point with the store too. So it brings me back to those days. And so that's we talk about sentimental. This definitely was going to make the sentimental list. So
wow. I'm not
there
even
you go.
I can't even make fun of that. That was genuinely very nice.
And there is something to be said, right? I'd be interested to hear the chat room's thoughts on this, right? There's something to be said when you pull something. Obviously, that's a whole pack, so it was in the box that I was already opening, and just when I saw it through the wrapper, I just decided to keep it closed. But in cases where we're opening packs, right, and we pull that card ourselves, and then if we grade it, or even if we don't grade it, and we keep it all those years, right? There's something to be said about that. Like I showed the Reggie 79. It's not the original 79. If that would have been the original 79, that would have been even more special to think that was like the card. It would have graded probably a 2 because I was carrying that thing around, bouncing, putting rubber bands around it. But there's something to be upset about something you've owned from start to finish. It means a little bit more than just going to a show and buying that. There's nothing wrong with that either. But when I think it's almost pure when you have it from the starting point to the ending, and I think most people feel that way. And so that's sort of what that pack represents. And again, it's an homage to my store owning date, my LCS day.
I think that's the sentiment that I was talking about. When we were talking about why to do the show, I think we talked about a lot of cards. I will say you've made me extremely sad that my collection got stolen all over again, because now I wish I had all my cards. No, I know that Logan has a PC of funny name athletes and players, and and he talked about chasing down the Bill Ripken face card. This is what it's about. If we can't have fun with this, and if we can't have moments, and we can't have connections, then what are we doing here? Then
again, like, throw out the vows. Yes, the Jackie rookie is a good chunk of change, right? But the Reggie, is probably under $20. The Mullins probably a $40, $50 card, right? To me, it's not just the dollars. It's actually not for today's show. It's not the dollar signs. And like we talked about, that Jackie could be $500, and it still would have the same meaning to me. And that's one of the beauties of collecting, is it doesn't always have to be. I know I wrote an article somewhere, whether it's for Hobby News Daily or SCD, where I talk about that very concept, that throw out like what a card's always worth. Sure, it's nice when your collection is very valuable, but it's got to be more. To me, it's got to be more than that. To me, again, whatever floats your hobby boat, but for me, it's got to be more than that. When I started as a 7-year-old kid, there was no real price guides yet. It wasn't about value for me in 1979. It was about, I love that guy. I love that team. He did that. He's an awesome player. That was really the bare bones of it. And I'm not in a way. I'm actually glad that I started collecting in the era I did before kind of where we are now. So because I think people from that era and before and a little bit after that, they're traditionally it's more the stories than the values.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there any card out there that would still have sentimental value to you that you don't have?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't own every Jackie. I got,
but not everyone is equally special.
Yeah. Not really. I think I've acquired. I'm probably forgetting something. It's not a regret. I wish I had that original Reggie, beat up as it probably was. In the end, I don't know. I don't even know really what happened to it. I just know I don't have it anymore. Whether it's got thrown out by my grandparents by accident. Maybe I, traded it to somebody. Maybe when I became a Mets fan, I just said, who cares? Quite frankly, I might have did that. You have it, to one of my Yankee friends. You want this Reggie Jackson? He's egotistical maniac guy, So I don't really know how that ended, but I still have to pay homage to that card for what it means. I'm doing math in my head, 44 years after the fact, and so I wish I had the original and never got rid of it. But probably that would be it. I don't have every Jackie, so but I got the one that I really wanted. So not really. Not off the cuff.
Blame Mets.
Yeah, always blame Canada.
Take the guy named Mookie and listen to him.
Yeah, no. And maybe that's what happened to that Reggie. When I became a Mets fan, I'm like, I don't want the Reggie anymore. Not realizing, in 83, 82,
you could have traded it for
that card.
Wilson.
I might have. Well, yeah, I think it was too early. I might have traded it for Tom Seaver, or something like that. But it's gone. But I went and reacquired the card to remember where it all began, right? And I think that's important, regardless of the value of the car. How did we get here? How did we get into this crazy hobby? And, while I may not be a Yankees fan anymore, I was then, and that card was really what, got me going.
I think it's very cool. Now, we did not do a lot of funny cards. I don't buy a lot of them, even though there's cards that make me laugh. The Brooks Robinson, where he looks like he's leaving the outhouse instead of playing baseball. That's a funny card. That's one that I always get a chuckle out of. Brooks was quoted as saying it's his least favorite card ever, so he was aware of it. But there's no emotional attachment. That's a funny story. But there's no emotional attachment. I think a lot of this has to happen organically, like you said, a time and place of your life, a pack you opened, or had, originally on your own, and you kept all those years. It's hard to manufacture that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even again with this pack, man, it just this was 21-year-old me had this, and I still have it. 30 years 30 years later. It's just it's funny because I don't have a lot of stuff, the original stuff from 1993 anymore. Just being a show dealer and setting up a show, my store days, and selling a lot of that stuff at the time. And so the fact that it has lasted 30 years for me, is just, it means that all the more, you know what I mean? So
I just want to clarify for Ruben here.
you putting it up?
Yep. Here's the 58 Brooks. I mean, that's one of the most unfortunate faces they've ever put on a baseball card.
Dude, I've seen worse, though. I've seen worse, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he's playing baseball. So he was quoted as saying that was his least favorite ever. So anytime an athlete's aware of their least favorite card, I appreciate that. What else over the years? Any other cards that were not price wise that caught your attention?
No, I mean, collect. I'm a rookie guy.
You're a minor league guy, so you collect a lot of that too.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. I didn't put it on the list today. I mean, I own the card, but I didn't put it in. No, the 89.
Brooks was from Arkansas.
Yeah, the 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey, right? Is sentimental. Sure. That was 17-year-old me, ripping again, just like 84 Donruss, ripping packs and trying to pull as many of those.
It's funny, I forgot.
So that could have made my list. I mean, I guess in a sense it did because I'm talking about it now. I mean, it's behind me on the wall here, but I really tried to focus on the deep cuts on the record, if you will, and I think the Griffey is on the album, but it's not the deep cut, and so I didn't necessarily pull it off out of the case and to talk about it. But that's another one that brings me back to a time of mine in the hobby and that sort of thing.
Well, I'm going to share one non-card, and I don't know if I've shown this before, but this is the 93 All-Star Game in Baltimore, and what I really want to show is the background here makes one picture. These 4 tickets together form a one-picture background. Did you see that?
You should have a frame. Oh, you're saying on the ticket themselves? Yeah, that's cool. Yep.
Yeah, so if it was off one seat to the left or one seat to the right, the picture wouldn't line up. And those were my seats to the 93 All-Star Game. So those are my original tickets that we kept in condition at the game and had framed. So that's the one non-card item that I've kept, and that's now heading on just over to 30 years. So I want to give a shout out to my tickets.
Shout out to the tickets, man.
Shout out to the tickets. All right, man. We got Ruben says, according to Sheryl Crow, the first cut is the deepest cut.
And you know what I laugh about that? I'm not a huge Sheryl Crow fan. So the fact that I'm mentioned with Sheryl Crow, I don't hate her, but I don't hate anyone for that matter. But not a big Sheryl Crow guy, to be honest with you. Now, when I talk Lady Gaga, I used to have a thing for Madonna back in the day until she got arms like she could choke me out. Then I was off the Madonna. Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar. I was a Pat Benatar kid, and so.
See, I always like classic rock.
No Sheryl Crow though. No Sheryl Crow.
Maybe a little Joni Mitchell.
No, two before my time.
Yeah, well.
I know who she is, but
anyway. All right. Well, here. This actually came up recently. Danny, did the ticket guy you had on another show ever get you hooked up with that ticket yet? Not yet.
No.
I am still working on that ticket, and I am blown away that you remember that date. A2483 is the date I'm looking for. Orioles, Blue Jays. I'll throw it out there again if anybody has that ticket. All right, John. 2 more weeks and 3 more weeks, and I've got a big family milestone. So we've got a show in 2 weeks. Did I lose you? I think John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now there you are. I was saying that.
Is the next show going to be like the top 10 cards we dislike?
Based upon this reaction, no, I'm not going to pick the next topic.
We should do like top 10 cards we really don't like that much, and maybe the Brooks makes that list for you.
Well, I might that I can look into. But I was saying that we're on next week, but I wanted to share that in a couple of weeks we have a family blessing. My sons are getting bar mitzvahed, and Card Mensches is the place to share that news. So we are very excited for that. Sorry you won't be able to quit your job and come and celebrate with us, but
well, I could, and then you could. I work for you,
right? Well, that wouldn't work. So I just wanted to share some look into that. Thank you very much, Dr. Mayer.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. I wish we were honestly all no joking. I wish we were a little bit closer. I would definitely be there, as you well know. And congrats to them ahead of time. So don't screw anything up, fellas.
Well, they're twin boys, so in 2 weeks we might have to find a twin theme. Or something like that. Maybe we'll do the best twins and all the twins we can think of in baseball history or something. And
I don't know how long that list is.
It's not an hour. It's probably not an hour long. This is why we hash it out, not in real time on air, I guess. Huh?
I like whether it's the next show or a future one. I like the 10 cards we're not fans of.
All right, next one's 10 cards John's not fans of.
Only fans.
So they're like the twins on G.I. Joe.
How about the Wonder Twins? Form of whatever.
Right. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know the Wonder Twins? Oh, they touch rings and they change into whatever they said.
Am I the only one? Has anybody else ever?
People know who the Wonder Twins are.
I've never heard of these Wonder Twins.
You better Google. You better get Google at your house.
I have. Mike Petty, sorry.
Yeah, we missed the petty one-liners tonight. That was definitely.
I was cranking the AC/DC live for the last hour. And Steven says, "Do they do bar mitzvah parties at Panda Express?" I got news for you. My son.
I'm just disappointed we got upstaged by AC/DC.
Well, I just want to be clear that my sons would have had their bar mitzvah at Panda Express, or would have been fine if Panda Express caters their bar mitzvah. They would be 100% fine with that. That is, Panda Express is very high on their list. For those of you about to rock, we salute you, Mike Petty.
And we'll be back in black in 2 weeks.
All right. You got anything else before we say goodnight?
No, man, this was fun. It's always nice sharing some cards that maybe you wouldn't get an opportunity to put them on the air, so to speak. And, I hope people, I'll say this. I hope people take from this, right? The main goal is, right, it's not always about dollar signs or value. It's what the card means to you internally. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Or someone says, that's not very expensive. It doesn't matter. It's what the card represents to each individual.
This cost me $40 at the National.
Yeah.
And on my list of one of my favorite cards. So I meant to mention that when I showed it earlier. It's not an expensive card. I mean, there's cool cards of good players out there. Have fun. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I was talking earlier. It's actually my stepfather's name is Charles Klein. So sharing that as part of our cards tonight. All right, John, say goodnight.
Good night.
Say goodnight, John.
Good night, John. You screwed it up, Danny.
I screwed it up. It's on me. All right, we're gonna see how much more I can screw this up. See you, everybody.